Okay, the first request is from the American Legion, and I'd like to call on Jim Leduc.
Hey, Lauren, and Lauren, hey, I wondered where you were. Yeah, hey, thanks for letting us address the city commission. I am Jim Leduc, an officer of the American Legion. We have Lauren here, and also we have Roy Warsh. About a year ago, we joined the park department looking at installing banners on poles at the McPherson. This project was started by Lauren. She had a $2,000 donation at the time. The Legion, she came to us, and Legion formed a committee working with her. We started working on the project in 2 phases. First phase was we had to raise enough money for the brackets. And it's a banner project that we had to hang banners up on poles. And so the first project was trying to come up with the brackets. Well, we kind of got delayed because of all the things that happened last year. We were hoping to start it last Memorial Day to Veterans Day, so we had to put it on hold. This project, as you can see, is to honor veterans. The idea came from visiting Emporia, Kansas, and Lyon, Kansas. Although there are several towns in the United States that does this, we have purchased our first 30 brackets per pole. And they run about $100 per pole. And Lauren and I went out this week and visited with the Mid-Kansas Machinery. And Doug Schultz and their crew are going to try to come up with brackets for us at some type of a reduced cost other than that. So we don't know what the price is going to be yet. The banners will be on display at the McPherson from Memorial Day to Veterans Day. We are looking at Memorial Park and the courthouse initially, and then work our way down Kansas Avenue. We're hoping to get them in Linnea Park and by the fire department and City Hall this year. Our goal is to have 100 veteran banners on display this year. We're approaching about 40?
We have 32.
32 right now, okay, right now. But as soon as they start going up, we really think we're going to get to that 100 pretty quickly. Like I said, we need to raise money for the brackets, and we are asking for a donation. So far, we started with a $2,000 donation from an individual. And then we got $1,000 from People's Bank, and the McPherson County Commissioner gave us $3,000. We have a few smaller donations, but less than 500 total. To get to our goal of $100, to get to our goal of 100, we need to raise additional money. Like I said, the banners, the brackets cost about $100 right now. We're hoping to get them for less than that. The banners are going to cost $150. They'll be hung for 3 years. And the actual cost of the banners, getting them printed, is about
It's just $100.
Okay. So basically it's in 2 phases. The first phase is raising enough money for the brackets. The second phase is basically selling it, and we're in partnership with the park department and the American Legion, and the park department will be splitting the small profit that we make off of it. But we're asking for the city's help in helping us purchase the brackets. You want to say anything? Questions? And I'm going to say a couple of things about the American Legion.
Go ahead.
Got Roy Warsh here, but we've had some, it's been a major challenge keeping the building open, but it is open. We're doing well. We're in a process right now of a little bit of a beautification project to the front of the building. And if you notice, our sign's down, and it went kaput. So we're in a process of raising money right now. We will have a new sign up. Roy, what day do you think that by the end of the month?
In about 3 weeks.
You want to tell a little bit? It's about a 3x6 LED sign.
Yes. 3 by 6. What we had before was a 1 foot by 6 foot. We're going to buy a 3 foot by 6 foot.
Okay.
Wichita sign company producer of it. They brought a trailer down to show us physically what it can do. It's a nice addition. It's going to be similar to what the
Then also, we've had the Freedom Flame up there for many, many, many years. It hasn't been working. You want to talk about that, Roy?
Originally, it was gas flame, and plus the gas got so high that we had to turn it off several years ago. So I found a light bulb that flickers, that looks like a flame, and we're rebuilding that to keep it on all the time. So we'll probably have that fixed up here in another week or so.
Then our next phase, the front of the building, the wood on both sides needs to be replaced, and we're looking at some awnings covering both the front doors, but that's probably down the line, 2 months or so. Family night will start at the Legion in April. Probably a lot of it will be served out the back door. So we want to thank the city commission for all the work they've done over the years, helping the American Legion. You're a very important body, and we appreciate what you do. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Jim, I'd just like to thank you and Roy as well for all the work you guys have done up there. We probably have one of the stronger American Legions around, and I know the people of McPherson really appreciate that. I did miss that gas light, and I'm glad you're working on that to have something go in there, but that was always kind of a landmark for me.
Thank you. Gary.
But you guys have done an amazing job, and we really appreciate that. And
Thank
this
you.
banner project, I think, is wonderful. And thank you and Lauren for the work that you guys have put in on that, because I know it's been a big project, but I think once it's done, you and the rest of the community would be very happy with it.
I agree. Lauren has done the bulk of the work too. So,
Okay, thank you. We will bring this up at the commission meeting next week with the designation of where the fund's going to come from. I would like to see us be able to match the county's $3,000.
Yeah.
If
I
we
would
can
agree
do
with
that.
You have a preference where you want us to start looking for that? You
Can
want to
that
go through the
come out of the
not-for-profit,
chur- Can that come out of the charitable donations?
the 10,000
Yes.
not-for-profit that we
Right.
have? Yeah, and I was asking, we did designate the 10,000 for not-for-profits this year, is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so we could use that.
Okay, that'd be
Okay.
great.
Okay. Okay. We're down to, I guess Janetta is going to take over instead of our schedule, so
Oh,
go.
I
Go
moved
ahead.
it, I
Why
moved it
not?
to the back, so. but you
Oh,
can
I'm
still
sorry.
run that.
Okay, you're already
No.
moved.
No, you're good.
I'm sorry. I'm flexible.
I didn't say it, changed it before.
Go
You're
ahead.
changing things on me, huh? Well, good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
As I indicated in the budget calendar that I presented last week for the 2022 budget, the first attachment, as presented, as I indicated last week, is the budget calendar. And today, I'm here to discuss budget baselines with you. And I have just included in your packet some examples as I've calculated the budget baseline. And best practices for budgeting begins with guidelines for communication and collaboration, including setting baseline expectations for what the budget process will achieve in the funding levels. And examples that I've included are not limited to, but flat, the same as the 2021 budget of expenditures, increase based off of the CPI inflation, which I've also included in your packet, and the 5-year average is 2%. And I've confirmed that with the state budget office, Stacy, who is busy working on the stimulus package, but she stopped what she was doing and confirmed that with me. And then I've also included a 2-year average and also some other inflation, which included a 2% reduction or the 2% CPIU. And so what I've calculated on the attachment that's in front of you and up on the overhead is by department. This is just the general fund. And this is just non-personnel expenditures. So those things such as contractual services, capital outlay, and sundry expenditures. It does not include the transfer from these departments into the equipment fund because there are some assumptions that that was going to remain flat. So the 2021 budget is included for each department in the general fund. And then out to the right of that is what I have estimated thus far as step increases, the costs for each department going into 2022. And so you'll see at the very bottom, the 2022 estimated cost of step is just a little over $63,000 in the general fund. And then just some baseline examples to the right of that, if you would want to allow a 2%, which is once again, the CPIU for 2022's budget at 2%, that cost would be $87,000, $534. And then I've also calculated a 2-year average that was based off of 2020's and 2021's budget. And that is a reduction of $47,345. And then a 2% reduction would be $87,534, which is the same amount as the CPIU, but just a cost reduction. And once I indicated down below, there are some assumptions that there would be no increase to the transfer from the general fund departments into the equipment fund. And as you recall, for 2021, we are making up what we didn't transfer in 2020, which was all budgeted and accounted for. This also doesn't include any increase to overtime, to temporary or seasonal personnel costs, on-call, et cetera. It also doesn't account for any increase to outside appropriation or to transfers. As you recall, we transfer from the general fund into the golf course, into the swimming pool fund, and also into the municipal building. So it doesn't account for any of those.
Doesn't account for them or doesn't account for any increase?
Doesn't account for any increase. Apologies. Yes. The other thing is just so you can see a visual, and this is assuming an assessed valuation that's flat from the 2021 budget to the 2022 budget, which it could go up, it could go down, but for this purpose, I've assumed it was flat. And then you can see the impact to the mill levy of each one of those examples. So for example, the cost of the step increase at $63,356 would be a 0.487 mill increase, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to provide you with some numbers to look at as you discuss and contemplate a baseline for guidance to those department heads and outside agencies going into the 2022 budget as we begin sending out personnel numbers. We begin sending out the worksheets. We'll have a discussion during the retreat as far as revenues thus far and guidance as we go forward with capital needs and their presentations in May. Are there any questions or any additional information I didn't go over, but included in your packet is the CPIU. It shows from month to month in 2020. And then it also gives you, like I said, the city 5-year average at 2% for 2022. Any questions, discussions?
No.
Okay.
Anything else you want to?
No, I just wanted to know if you wanted to provide any guidance, whether flat, what sort of parameters.
I personally don't see us being able to go flat. I think the 2% CPI is probably where to go because we're going to have increases and we already know we're going to have $63,000 in step increases. So even at the 2% CPI, which I'm assuming is still going to be in place after Senate Bill 13 is finally dealt with by the House and passed through. So I'm expecting the tax lid to still be in place this year, but it will be different for 2023. So I think that there has never been a year in the last 12 that we've ever not had increases in what we do. And so I think if we can work around the 2% CPI, that's where we should be going. And that would help us to get the step increases. There was no sense in doing a compensation study and then not do the step increases. So that's at least where I'm coming from, either commissioner.
That's good.
Okay,
Okay.
that's your guidance.
Okay, sounds good. And just so the commission knows, we'll be meeting this week. I'll schedule a meeting with the finance committee to go through the details of this and what that looks like. And then we'll be sending out letters to the outside agencies before the end of the month with the guidance of the 2% CPIU for them to follow and establish timeframes. I will let you know that when I submitted the email for the spring retreat, that Wednesday, I believe it's April 14th, is the day. Unfortunately, the community building is not available, so we'll probably have to have it in here.
That's fine.
So
That's fine.
as we get closer, we'll be
Not a problem.
getting topics and discussions, but
Mhm.
we'll definitely be going over a lot of the finances.
Okay.
So am I still on the schedule next as well?
Just keep going.
Okay, I'll just keep going then. Okay, so the next topic of discussion, let me put that away. Last week, the McPherson Housing Coalition submitted a request, and this was for financial assistance to move the public storm sewer from their property and waive certain construction fees for them to build the Oak Harbor Cottage projects. The engineer's estimate to do so was $81,350. And the commission requested for me to present the cash flow report for the Stormwater Utility Fund, where these drainage projects are funded. And I have attached that and provided a handout of that. And I just want to note that this cash flow is through February 2021, so it doesn't include any March. And so at the very top of it, you will see the beginning cash balance into January. This is an unaudited number, so it is subject to change, but I'm pretty confident where it stands right now. It's a little over 1.3 million. We've had revenues in January and February accounted for, as well as expenditures. And you will see at the bottom of the February column, the cash balance as of February 29th, 2021 is $1,532,583.13. It does include monies that we, for interest payments into bond and interest, as well as a transfer into wastewater to pay for the design that the commission approved for the bond proceeds for the Hulse design. As you can see more towards the middle of the page, the only scheduled project that we have coming out of stormwater is, at this point in time, is the North Gate drainage. And you can see there hasn't been, under the 2021 expense, there hasn't been any expenses paid out of that. But the authority that's been approved thus far is a little over 345,000. And you can track that 345,000 down to the cash flow portion, which is the 2021 projects listed above. So with the beginning cash balance, and I'm going to focus on the bottom part of the page at a little over 1.3 million, factor in the revenues received to date, a little over 271,000. We're forecasted revenue a little over 784,000. That doesn't take into account the rate increase that goes into effect in April. It does. It does. And then the closeout, as the commission approved for the Geo Bond 139 proceeds to reimburse for design. There's still a transfer of 64,000 that will be completed in March. Gives us total cash available a little over 2.5 million. Take into account the actual expenditures, a little over 128,000. And then the forecasted expenditures, which are March through December, a little over 24,000. And then the final transfer from this fund into bond and interest at 526,000. And then the projects at 345, which is Northgate, which I just presented, leaves us with an unencumbered estimated ending cash balance or beginning cash balance for 2022 at a little over $1.4 million. Are there any questions? I do want to just point out, bear with me, I have it somewhere in here. Just some statistics for you as we look at the resources available. The two bond payments that come out of here, as I've indicated up below, for 2021, that's budgeted $620,749. One of the bond projects was included in the 2020 Series 140, was the Elm Street project. That average payment's around $38,000 a year, and it sunsets in 2039. So the other one is Geo Bond 139. As you recall, one of the bigger projects that's been funded out of here, that was the Hulse area. The average bond payment for that project is around $586,000. That sunsets in 2030. So we do have a significant amount of money that's obligated out of this fund to back those debt payments each year. So I just wanted to provide that information to you. And also, since this is a relatively new fund, started in 2017, the average revenue from the fees collected is around $850,000 a year. And so if you take into account that average revenue at $850,000 plus the transfer to bond and interest of $625,000 on average a year, and gives you a little over $225,000 a year extra revenue for projects such as Northgate or the one that you have in front of you. So that gives you a little bit of idea of where we are financially
Yeah,
to fund that 81,000.
appreciate all the work and data that you provided. I do think that we should be able to do this for the $81,000. And if you look at the type of housing that's needed in McPherson, this will be very inexpensive compared to what we'd have to do on other cities' projects that are a lot more. And it is very difficult to get money for assistance on this. So I think while we're having a 200,000 plus a year differential of revenues over our expenses, that we could afford to do this, and hopefully they can find their funding for the 10 cottages to help people in this particular situation. Is that
Are there any regular operation costs associated with stormwater utility in a year? Is it, and do we have any idea what that amount is?
Every other year, we roll out the track, skid steer. And that's around.
Yeah.
And
And we have, of course, the collection payments that we paid in the year. Okay.
So we're still,
Yeah, but I think we have plenty of buffer to do
I
it.
think we need to bring it next week,
Yeah,
bring it up to the motion.
yeah, but
A couple of questions. If you want us to move forward then and advertise the project.
we'd like to bring it forward next week and then you can go to advertising and do whatever you want.
Okay. Couple things on that. As talked last week. Typically, this storm sewer goes right behind the curb and gutter. Right under the curb and gutter. We typically don't use plastic pipe. The other thing, these estimates are usually high, so I'd like to at least bid it with the alternative, so we can decide. My recommendation.
Get us an estimate, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
It'll increase it. Again, these estimates are usually. Puts an estimate together. They want over the actual.
Good.
Okay,
Point of discussion then.
yeah,
next week.
point of discussion next week. Okay. Anything else under administration you want to cover?
we can wait on the last item till the end.
Okay, I'll move back up to police department.
Two items.
Last week, we interviewed Charlie McFall for the position of patrol officer. We'd like to make a conditional job offer pending successful pre-employment requirements completion with a start date of April 5th, 2021. And I'll bring that for approval next week, if that's okay. Yep.
Anybody have a problem with that?
Next week.
He should have most of his testing done this week. So
Okay,
Very good.
will that put you down?
3.
two or-
We'll be down 3.
Okay, thank you. Okay, public lands facilities. Male version of Vanna White. Guys, sit way back there and walk all the way up here.
Okay, first item in study session is for Turkey Creek Golf Course annual chemical purchase. Turkey Creek Golf Course staff request authorization to purchase turf chemicals for an amount not to exceed $26,500. They would like to get the authorization for the full amount for the year, with the understanding that the golf course would not be using the full amount in a one-time purchase. Staff would like to have the flexibility to order product as needed. The weather is not an exact science. In one quarter, they may need a little bit more than usual. And then the next quarter, they might need more, so.
Bring it next week, Wayne.
The next item is variance frequency drive. It's an emergency purchase. Jason Bushbaum, golf course superintendent, had Sergeant Drilling come in to do a flow test on the irrigation pumps last week, so he could have some numbers to compare to next year in order to decide whether to replace a pump or not. When the contractor was doing the flow test, they were able to use a variable frequency drive to ramp up the number 1 pump. When they started pump number 2, it had malfunction and kept throwing a fault, not allowing the VFD to run the pump. They bypassed the VFD and were able to do a flow test. Efforts were made to start up the system Tuesday, and both pumps were malfunctioning. The fault was the internal VFD fault. So something happened to the VFD during the flow test. As a result, no water could be pumped. Jason was planning to water the greens Tuesday night since they had been mowed, but was unable to do so. Mark Lytle with Sergeant Drilling Technician was there on Wednesday and was able to get the pumps up and running. The fix they made was able to address the immediate issues. The issues severely limited the capacity to drain down the ponds, which was slated to begin on Wednesday, in the efforts to begin damming the pond in preparation for the construction of the erosion control project. They were advised to replace the VFD drives as described in the agenda item to address the issue immediately. You want me to go into the finance part? or-
Yeah.
Okay, from the finance standpoint, the golf course fund began actual cash balance 2021 was $103,237. The budgeted beginning cash balance for 2021 was anticipated at $11,089. Therefore, the beginning balance resulted in an increased carryover of $92,147, more than expected. This increased cash carryover can be used to finance this purchase. Please keep in mind this cash was used to transfer a portion of the money into the equipment fund that was approved to purchase the Jacobson Fairway mower for $41,432. If approved today, an additional $31,803.56 would be transferred to the equipment fund to pay for the replacement VFD drives. It has been recommended that the one VFD drive that serves both pumps be replaced with a VFD for each pumping unit. The 2 units versus the 1 unit have multiple benefits, including but not limited to additional redundancy in case there is failure of one of the units in the future. The total cost of the purchase and install these units is $31,803.56.
I guess this is a necessary thing, and unless there is other input from finance, I'd like to bring this back after recess. Janetta? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So it comes out of that 91.
92. Yeah, well, I'd like to bring 3.2 back after the recess.
Okay.
Okay, so you got another item?
Yes, one more item. The park department's 20-year-old air compressor is worn out and needs to be replaced. We have priced a 7.5 horsepower, 80-gallon air compressor at 2 local stores. The lowest price from Tractor Supply McPherson is the amount of $2,100.
Bring that next week.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Woodward?
My first item is on the Northview Sidewalk Phase 1 easements. We have successfully negotiated all temporary and permanent easements for the Northview Sidewalk project. We have just under $27,000 in cost to cure, as well as extending a driveway at Station 100+76 out to the sidewalk and constructing a parking lot at Station 11170. Our plan is to add the driveway extension to the sidewalk project and have the street department construct the parking lot. And then on top of that is the cash that we've negotiated. We don't have signatures on all those, but we do have verbal agreements.
Okay,
Probably
bring
you'll
it
have the
next-
signatures by next week,
Hopefully.
hopefully.
Okay, go ahead, you'll bring it next week?
Yeah.
Yep, that's good work.
We had a nice meeting last week, so we made some real progress there. Appreciate Jeff and all the guys that helped on that.
Jeff, is this $27,000 additional that we need to account for the city portion?
Yes.
We need to account for?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we had an estimate of, I think it was 20. I have to go back and look, but we did have some estimated in there.
Thank you.
The next item is talk about the interdepartment use of crushed concrete and millings. Up to now, when the street department has helped other departments with project, we've charged all material cost out, including crushed concrete used for base rock and millings. We recently put together some crushed concrete millings on the park roads. There was no concrete involved in those. Gary met out an invoice for the material. Nick feels we shouldn't charge internal departments for the millings or crushed concrete. We've already committed to putting millings on the new gun range. So I'd just like to discuss the issue in context of sharing low cost or services reduced or no cost to other departments. So it makes no difference to me. I understand that, it's all coming out of the same pot but if you're trying to put a true cost on what it costs to maintain the parks, you charge for it. I mean, again, this material isn't free. So I don't personally care either way, but
I'll just throw my
we've done
two,
that up to this point.
yeah, I'll just throw my 2 cents worth in, Jeff, is I think we're heading down a pretty slippery slope doing this kind of thing on interdepartmental charges. Public Works does not pay the park department for any mowing we do, for any edging that we do, whether it's at your offices over here, or whether it's your public right of ways. We don't charge, the community building doesn't charge when we have meetings over there several times a year. City properties are not charged for flower planting and watering and all that kind of stuff. It's just something that we do for the good of the city. I think we need to be very careful about opening a can of worms here. I think this could get kind of nasty and actually cause more division than continuity.
I think it's
We're
probably,
one entity. We're the city of McPherson. And we do everything we do is we do for the city and for the residents here and for those people visiting here. And I just think we need to work together to make this a better community. I know John Dickinson, I already thought of this when I was thinking about this, that back in 6th century BC, he wrote a song, and in that song was "United we stand, divided we fall." And that's what I'm afraid may happen here if we don't work together on these kind of things. If we divide and the park department starts trying to figure out ways to charge you for mowing all your right of ways and all that it's just going to get to be a mess. It's going to be something we're going to haggle over all the time. And I think it would be better if we just supply the materials and whatever we need to do to make this a better place.
Commissioner Weeds.
I wouldn't, I don't disagree with what you're saying, Gary, but I guess the thing I'm going to bring up is, from time to time, we, when I say we, I'm going to speak for the street department. We ask for help from different departments, and I know that there's going to be a little controversy with what I'm going to say, but when we ask for help, we'd like to have help. You promise you're going to do something for us. We'd like for it to get done. Don't come up a year later and we have to ask for it again. I'm totally in agreement with let's work together and make this thing work, but let's work together if that's what we're going to do. Not ask for it and then not do it. So we've got a lot of projects going right now. We've got 4 or 5 projects that we're getting ready to work on, and we need some help. We need some help from other departments. It's not time to mow grass right now. When we ask for help, we'd like to have it.
But I'd just like to make clear that this was not done in any cooperation or not cooperating. This was done just to identify the cost.
I understand. I understand.
Okay, I waited till last. And when I first became mayor, we had interdepartmental costing. Every time you did something for somebody else, you got a charge. I think that is a problem in the budget on a lot of these things that we have a hard time planning in advance for. So early on, I worked with the treasurer then to say, let's eliminate all this. We're a team. We should be able to work together. And if we have a request, we need to do everything we can to meet the request and not have interdepartmental costing. I think the cost, the true cost of a project is too expensive when you start doing all that. And at that time, I do not think that we worked together when I first came in. Since we've done away with it and done it for almost 12 years without charging each other, we have much more cooperation between departments. We scratch each other's back and we get things done that we don't have to go outside to do. So I would like to stay that. I agree with Commissioner Mel, and I agree with Commissioner Weeds. If we get a request, we have to do everything we can to help somebody. And if we have manpower at a particular time of the year where we can pitch in and do something, we should do it. So with that, we've got help like on the gun range. If you have a particular thing, maybe there is a way that even police or fire can help out, or you need the dozer or something. We can do all those kinds of things. And I think if we can keep doing that, that's what makes us unique as the city of McPherson. Other people that are doing these things, everybody's in a silo.
Yeah, I
And you
agree.
pay my cost of the silo. I did not want silos. I've done enough consulting over the last 25 to 28 years to take down silos in a number of different companies. Silos do not build cooperation. So that's my feeling.
And I'll just, I'm the one that brought it up. I will reflect what everybody said. That's not to say that, if someone is if you've got millings and crushed concrete that's going to go down and we have to buy concrete from outside, then that department should be charged that'll use it. If there's outside costs that we'll have to incur, then whatever department's benefiting from it should be paying for that. But I agree. I think all of our departments have worked well together, and I hope that we continue to have that cooperation. It's difficult because everybody's at times is short on staff. So trying to schedule things and do things in a way that allows you to maximize some of the limited staffs is going to be critical as we go forwards. But I agree, every department working with every department is critical for us to be able to be successful.
All right. Everybody all right?
Okay,
Staying
so-
where we are?
I'm fine.
And we'll keep cooperating just like we have. been.
Sure. Okay, so, but the question at hand here, are we going to stop because there are outside costs to crush that concrete or to mill the asphalt? And I don't care. Just going forward, are we charging for everything? And by everything, I mean concrete, reinforcing steel, bar chairs, that sort of thing, when we put an estimate together. And also when we service vehicles, filters and oil, we're charging for those things and not concrete and asphalt.
Good point.
Well, I mean, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It
I'd
just,
like to keep it the same for right now. Let's talk about it at spring retreat.
okay, so we're charging for crushed concrete and millings now? I mean, we have been up to this point.
Keep it just like it is, and we'll talk about it at retreat.
Okay.
Okay.
Come on up, Anna.
Go.
Okay. As finance manager, this is a discussion that's always somewhat obstinate and controversy among departments. But I think what could easily be defined is if your department has to go out and buy materials, they should be reimbursed from that department if they're the low bid or if the commission chooses to do it inside. In this case, you could go out and get some outside bids and compare and see what is cheaper. But I think what has been done in the past, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're doing work on a car or something else, you only charge for the materials that you have to go out and purchase. Because if otherwise, if you get into personnel, then where does that stop? I mean, so I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it's just only to reimburse you for the materials. And in this case, what's a little unique is Jeff's material budget is backed by sales tax and not backed by ad valorem tax, which most departments are. So it's just a little different.
And I think Richard Miller keeps track of their department paper to take off of the L.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Next item, social pilot subscription.
No,
Sorry, I'll defer to you, Sydney. Sydney's gonna talk a little bit about this. This has to do with social media and
Yes, so one of my goals this year was to streamline all of our social media accounts. Probably what you guys didn't know is we have 25, actually, I think we have 26 because I think another one came up. All together between the fire department, the police department, the parks department, Turkey Creek, CVB, community building, and the city in general. So they're quite, let me see if I can bring them up so you can at least see the list. And I didn't realize how many we had until I actually physically listed them out. So in order to help keep track of all of them and help all the departments keep track, I'd like to get a subscription to Social Pilot. And what that does is it helps us connect the majority of our social media accounts and help manage postings, as in like scheduling posts and bulk scheduling. So what that does is I can schedule social media posts up to a year in advance if I wanted to. And all that is just filling out a spreadsheet of what we want. So like generic stuff like Fact Fridays, Happy Easter, just little things. Because the goal is to post at least twice a day. That's the average to keep us current and relevant. So in order to do that, that's a lot easier to schedule this out. That way I can work on other projects and not just focus on, oh, I need to remember to post on Facebook today. Because let's face it, we have a lot more to do than just make sure that we post on Facebook every day. So that allows all of us to do that between the fire department, the police department, parks department, if they would like to use that. That's up to them, but we do have the capabilities. The other great part of the subscription is the RSS feeds. So what that allows us is anytime that we have an alert or a media release or anything that we push out onto our website that needs to be released immediately, it will automatically put that out to social media. So we do not have to go in and physically post it to our Twitter accounts, to our Instagram accounts, it'll automatically post it to wherever it needs to go. And we don't have to worry about it. It just takes basically 30 minutes to an hour out of making sure we got it all on all platforms. What else? It also helps with content and creation. So basically what that is if we're running out of ideas of what to keep us current and post, we can look at kind of what other cities are doing and helps us create content on that. And then also analytics and reports, which kind of pulls all the data in from all the websites and puts it in a easy to read platform. And it's only $306 a year.
Is what, I have a question on the fire and police because they pretty well do their own thing right now. I don't think you do anything.
No, they do their own. So this would,
Are we limited to 3 teams or can you
We-
configure this different if they're not on it?
we can, it just gives us 3 teams, or if we go up another step, I believe it gives us 5. So it's just depending on how many we want to buy. And that would, I believe the next step is $45 a month.
I'll ask the fire and police to comment on what they do.
With the police department, I actually have a team that does our social media. They look at the local trends and things like that. So I don't see this really benefiting the police department on its own, maybe for you working in the city environment. But I also know that Archive Social, I mean, we're paying 75% of the entire city's bill for archiving all this, and we have 3 of the 26 accounts. So I would like that to be looked at as well if possible.
Yeah.
That's a little,
You can keep paying it. We like.
okay.
I'm not going to go back to the last argument. This was
Yeah.
a slippery slope and we're not going to do that.
Okay.
Fire department.
Yeah, and I think we can pick that cost up on this anyway, so at least the 306.
I can share some of Michael's concerns with it a little bit. I don't want to negate it though. I would like to look at it and actually talk with our team and kind of look into it a little bit more before we make a decision on that. Kind of a decision right off the cuff is a little bit too much right now. But
Well, if we could get feedback during the week to Sydney, I think you can drop the police off. It may be just fire. If it's not fire or police, is there another 3-way team that you would like to have?
It can be split up however it needs
Yeah,
to be,
so-
so.
Anyways, I think it's for $306 a year, then up to 3 teams. I think we could bring it next week, but please give Sydney feedback during the week. So once you bring something, we know what we're talking about.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay? Anything else, Sydney?
Nope.
Okay. Last item, city facilities reopening.
As the number of COVID-19 cases has been continuously declining, as you mentioned in your initial review of the Harvard Global, where we've had two straight days of in the yellow. It's recommended that we begin that process to reopen city facilities more to the public. Administrative staffs met last week, and we discussed kind of the comfort level here. And we felt that reopening the main doors to this building would be an acceptable thing, and maybe controlling access to the office portion back here, with the caveat that we do expect that the vaccine will be available for us here within the next month. That once it's made available to all of our staff, that we open back up in somewhat of a full capacity, where we'd have access. We'd open up the full access. The one thing we did talk about is we felt, still doing temperatures as people come in the front door. They can check with the front office and we can take temperatures. We'll still do signups, at least for the meantime. That may be something that goes away once the vaccine's available, but in line with kind of what the mayor's mentioned about starting those steps to reopen, that's kind of the thought process we had. And if there's no objection to that, we obviously could bring this forward. Or if there's discussion and there's strong feelings one way or the other, just let us know.
When you say open the doors, that means that people could come in the doors, we take down the signs, except that we still would require a mask, still require the temperatures, and the 2 hallway doors would be closed. will they be unlocked for
They-
those of us on this side of the door?
We'd leave
Be
them,
able to get in, or do we
Yeah.
have to use a key every?
we'd leave them unlocked and people could enter and exit through there. We'd just put signs up that say it's limited access and
Yeah.
they'd be granted access when they come through and check in at the front door.
Yeah.
Or at the front desk.
Thoughts from commissioners?
I'm fine with opening it up partially like that.
Okay.
I
All right.
think we're rapidly approaching the day when we will open it up completely, but
Okay, is there any facility besides the municipal building that would have a change? this
Not
point.
that I've talked to directly, I think a lot of those have limited access anyways. And I think, fire department, I assume you guys want to continue doing what you're doing. You had limited access before, so I don't know as far as processes, if you're going to change anything as we kind of come out of this.
Okay. Okay, so we're in agreement, we can change the municipal building. All right, anything else to be done in study session?
You say continue to sign up, you mean appointments, or you mean sign in?
Sign in. Yeah, you can come in without an appointment, but
Sign-
sign in and we take temperatures to let you in the back, so.
Okay. Anything else that has to come up in study session?